Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Tishi and I'm happy to be your host once again. In today's video, we're going to be going through Baddies West, Tear the Club Up. Like there's a whole lot of gist, like there's a whole lot of tea in this particular episode. And to be honest, like I'm currently figuring how I'm going to put everything in like this one video and make it as short as possible. But yeah, highlights of this video are Tommy getting into a fight with Stunner, the club being mazed, it's crazy. This episode was actually crazy. So if this is something you're willing to get a scoop on, please go ahead to smash the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And yeah, let's just not waste any time. Meet you in the next gossip room. Alright, so the episode actually continued from, Tommy throwing tantrums about her bags being abandoned at the door of the house, the Bay City house. And of course, she ended up leaving out of anger because she was not allowed to, walk up to Nally's room by the zoo security, whom were of course instructed by Nally not to. Over to the girls, finally ready to head out. Nally, had a sit down with them and, basically, first of all, informed them of the reason why they had to end the season. Of course, this was the final tour. This was where they were ending the tour, and obviously it was in Bay City, which is, of course, the same city the Baddies Auditions West was held. So she basically stated that as a reason, and she went on to let the girls know that Sean was coming back on the show. And of course the girls were excited and gave their one and twos on how they felt about that. She then obviously went on to speak on other things, but after disclosing that Sean was coming back on the show, Lo felt the need to ask her if they had even communicated. And Nally let the girls know that of course Sean had reached out to her via text, but she hadn't responded, and she doubted that she was going to respond to the text message. She also went on to let the girls know that of course Tommy, after leaving out of anger, she wasn't sure if Tommy was going to make it to the club with the rest of the girls. Alright, so Nally still on the chit chat matter. She finally just lets the girls know that Bay City is actually Stunner City, and Low London then feels the need to ask Nally or make a statement. Basically what she said was maybe that's the reason why Tommy stormed off out of anger. Maybe Tommy was intimidated because she knew that Bay City was Stunner City. Now, first off, before I even go on to mention what happened or what was said next, I have to say that Lo, I feel, is she instigates certain situations based on the questions she asks. And it's even it's actually really funny, and at the same time, quite weird that she hasn't still learned her lesson, especially after getting beat by Krishan because of this same butting in, asking so many questions, right? So I feel like Lo, for one, she's very good at instigating situations, especially negative situations. Yes, the things that she has discussed on or spoke on in the past are very valid, but at the same time, sometimes you just need it's best to just keep mute and allow things slide instead of having to voice on them, especially when you know that it's going to shake the waters. But yeah, she felt the need to ask that question to Nally, and of course that was when Biggie decided to respond to that, basically telling her or letting them know that Tommy wasn't scared of anybody, that all this while they had been together in the club and Stunner didn't make a move or anything. So like, why would they expect, or why would they feel that it would be any different now that they were in Stunner's city? So like, it was this whole conversation that led to like, an argument between a mini argument between Stunner and Biggie. And basically the girls as well felt some type of way, because at the end of the day they felt like Biggie is always so quick to like butt in, especially when the topic of the conversation is about Tommy, or is Tommy, right? And even Rolly, apart from Stunner calling Biggie out as a lapdog, Rolly also was in support, because at some point she actually voiced out her frustration towards Biggie, and basically let her know that Biggie didn't always have to like butt in, or say something whenever Tommy was brought up, especially knowing that they were not even friends, that they only just met on the show. At the end of the day, I feel like virtually all the girls were kind of irritated at Biggie always having to defend Tommy, especially when he didn't concern her. And most of them ruled it out as being pressed, right? And they tried to make her understand that she didn't always have to necessarily say something when Tommy was brought up. But yeah, that was it was just Nally was able to have a final sit down with her and just basically ask her to show me that you're really a boss chick, and when we step out there, cheer Stunner girl. It's her city, so cheer her up. Show me that you're this boss ass bitch that you say you are, and all of that. And that was just basically it. And Roots Club level 13, of course, the girls got separated, and this time around Biggie was all alone. And finally, Stunner got to. I think this is like the second time Stunner is actually sitting with the girls. Yeah, I wouldn't say finally. I think this is like the second time. Stunner is, I think, second. Yeah, this is the second time that Stunner is actually getting to sit with like all the girls, aside from one particular girl, which was of course Biggie. So yeah, in that moment Biggie felt the need to call Tommy up, because Tommy wasn't in the sprinter with them. So she called Tommy up to just basically update her on everything that transpired prior, and what the ladies said, and basically making emphasis on the fact that the ladies were calling her out and letting her know that they were not friends, so she didn't feel the need to always defend Tommy. And I must say, the response I got from Tommy was, I would say, wasn't shocking, and was very embarrassing on Biggie's part, because after Biggie filled her in on everything that the girl said, Tommy just basically responded saying, "Tell the girls I'm not coming, and I don't give a fuck." And then she just abruptly ended the call on Biggie. Now, in Tommy's testimonial, which was of course in response to that particular moment, Tommy basically said that Biggie should believe the girls, because she didn't give, she was tired of all of them, including Biggie. So like to be honest, I really didn't feel bad for Biggie, but I think at the same time I also felt a little bit bad for Biggie, because this is somebody who has always been like trying to defend Tommy in every possible manner, even when it was not even necessary. To be honest, I feel like what Biggie, this whole thing that Biggie has with Tommy, like always wanting to defend her, this whole situation, to be honest, if you ask me, was even at some points becoming very irritating to me. So but getting that response from Tommy, I'm sure she felt the embarrassment, because even after the call was abruptly ended on her, she basically just responded with "what the fuck," and then in her testimonial she was speechless. So I was like, most definitely she felt that embarrassment and felt some type of way, because it had become crystal clear to her that Tommy really didn't give a fuck about everything that she was doing. over to the club situation, like a lot of things actually happened like in this particular scene that was, like too many things actually happened. Like it was like from one event to the other, right? Now, first of all, the girls got into the club only to discover that Tommy was already there. Tommy and Sean were already there. Now, for Tommy, she was already there with like her own clique of guys, like this, like goons. These guys were like on a hefty side, and I think a couple other ladies. While for Sean, she was already there with Blue. And when Nally walked in with the girls, Tommy and Sean were not even speaking with them. It did seem like they were together, but at the same time not also together, if you know what I mean. And also the club was very packed, and even Stunner. First of all, there was already like bad energy from like the onset, because according to Lo, during her testimonial, she said that she had to like have some kind of like mini arguments with a girl who was trying to like come in with them, right? She basically like pushed the girl off, but Stunner had to step in, saying that that was like the girl was with her. But of course Lo was like, okay, it doesn't matter, she still has to like be on the side, she can't come in with us. So like this whole scenario already kind of like got to Stunner, not Lo's action per se, but the fact that Stunner's clique couldn't go in to the section with her, but Tommy, whereas Tommy and her own clique were already in the section, right? They were already very comfortable, right? So like this whole thing, it did seem like an impartial treatment on Stunner. So like apart from this, the girls tried to perform, right? And before the whole performances started, they were like fighting in the back. People were already fighting in the back, but it didn't still stop the whole, it didn't still stop whatever was supposed to happen, because at the end of the day, Nally ended up introducing the cast members, and also going on to like welcome the girls to begin their performances. Now before the performance even started, the performance was even supposed to have begun, but it couldn't also begin because DJ Sky on the other side, or on the other end, was having issues in the DJ booth. And like it was already very, like, the girls were already irritated, because mind you, this is not like the first time this is happening with DJ Sky. So like this whole conversation of DJ Sky being very unprepared and unprofessional, like it's actually dragged into this episode, because even after being spoken to by Nally and I'm sure a couple other girls personally and directly, the fact that she still didn't have her shit together once again in this episode was actually very appalling to like the girls, especially Rolly, because Rolly, she even at some point voiced it out. She didn't necessarily voice it out per se, directly to DJ Sky, but like she voiced out her frustration and the fact that she was ready to like be done with the performances and just get out. Now, when this whole DJ booth situation was finally sorted, the girls started performing, and when it was Sean's turn, halfway into her performance, a shoe was thrown at her twice. So the first time it was thrown at her was like, when she was just beginning her song. And, she didn't, I wouldn't say she was unfazed, because she definitely was already pissed. But, she didn't stop her performance because of that. Now, it was when the shoe was thrown at her the second time that she stopped singing and basically started questioning who threw the shoe at her. So at that point, when the shoe was thrown a second time and Sean stopped her performance, was when everything just went left, because the DJ had to pause the music, because obviously Sean was no longer singing. She was more interested in figuring out who had thrown a shoe at her. And obviously the crowd, nobody was coming out, nobody was coming forward, because it did seem like Sean was ready to get it in with whomever, as at that particular point in time. But obviously nobody responded in the crowd, and this was what forced Sean to throw the speaker, throw the mic she was holding into the crowd. And it was from that moment fights broke out. And because of the fights that just broke out from all corners of the club had to be maced. And now after this club was maced, we had people choking, trying to find their way out of the club. It was like a really chaotic situation in the club, because the performances were not even concluded, and the fact that the club had to be maced and people were basically struggling out of the club for their lives. It was it was not even a funny situation, because I was watching this particular scene and I was actually a little bit scared, because anything can happen at that particular point in time. Anybody can actually even lose their life in that kind of situation. So it was actually a crazy moment in the club. But yeah, okay, the girls are now out. Stunner obviously already left the club. She was already out a long time ago. Reason being that obviously she was already feeling some type of way with the whole movement she was noticing around her. According to her, during her testimonial, she basically said that it did seem like Tommy was trying to set her up, because she kept seeing Tommy whispering into the ears of the guy that was with her. And then it did seem like she was basically asking her goons to go stay behind Stunner and stuff like that. So when she noticed that movement, she just moved out. So now that all of this has transpired and everybody is finally coming out of the club, Stunner already is outside, and she sees Tommy, who is being carried on the back of the guy that Stunner had earlier mentioned she had seen Tommy whisper to, right? And not so just split seconds later, Stunner went into a fight with whom I was not sure of. The camera did not really show, but during Tommy's testimony, she basically said that on her way out, as she was being carried out, she heard some ruckus just behind her, and when she turned, she saw that someone was hit, and it did seem like her sister had been hit, right? And Stunner was in the center of all of it. So immediately she urged the guy that was carrying her to drop her so she can go in to defend her sister. And yes, Tommy went into that fight, and as Stunner was being pulled out of a fight, Tommy immediately started throwing hands on her. And while she was throwing hands on Stunner, it did seem like another girl came and was throwing hands on Tommy from behind. So it was a whole chaotic situation that forced the Baddies girls to immediately evacuate the premises. Okay guys, so let me know in the comment section what you think about everything that has transpired so far. And also I'm really eager to hear your thoughts on the whole situation with the shoe being thrown at Sean. Do you think that that was just basically retaliation for what Sean had done on live? Because basically it shouldn't be thrown at you while you're performing is a mere sign of disrespect. And that was basically the same thing that Sean did to Nali during her life. So do you think that person was basically very pissed at what happened, or what he or she might have seen online, and decided to retaliate by throwing a shoe at Sean? Also, let me know in general what you think about the whole episode, based on everything that has been discussed so far. Once again, if you're new to my channel, please go ahead to smash the subscribe button, and we'll meet in the next awesome video.